Alison Cullen has been a part of global missions team with Youth with a Mission, or YWAM, as some would refer to it as, to Mexico, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. She has also been a self-employed artist and designer for the past 25 years. Her home and studio are here in Manlius, where she lives with her husband, Jim, and son, Graham. She joined the Senegal Adventure in 2008 and is currently the team's leader. Would you give it up for Alison Cullen?
Well, good morning, and I am so thrilled to be here with you guys today. As I thought about how to start the conversation about leadership today, I realized that we really need to start that conversation with a question. And the question is, are we asking the right question? But before we explore that a little bit further, I wanted to tell you a cute little story about a 6-year-old boy named Andrew who got to spend a whole week at his grandparents' dairy farm. And he was so excited. He was up at the crack of dawn, ready to jump into the day's chores. And, of course, his favorite was when he got to climb up on that giant green tractor and sit on Grandpa's lap. He put his little hands on Grandpa's big, strong hands that were gripping the steering wheel, and Andrew drove that tractor all over the field. It was awesome. But then the end of the week came, and he had to say goodbye to his grandparents, and as they were doting on him and saying their farewells, his grandfather knelt down and looked him in the eyes and said, "Andrew, oh, Grandma and I just can't imagine how we ever did all this work here without you. Please hurry back and help us out." Well, little Andrew's eyes got really big, and his head swelled with pride, and, well, the next week at Sunday school, he raised his hand during prayer requests, and he said, as he bowed his head and closed his eyes, "Oh, dear Lord, please help Grandma and Grandpa with all those chores until I can get back and do them for them." Right? It's a cute little story, and I loved it when I first read it, and then it occurred to me that it might just be a mirror that reflects our own exaggerated view of ourselves in regards to the work of God in the world today. But as I look around the room today, I have to say this is I see that I am really in good company of a lot of leaders who share my type A personality. Okay, in fact, this is a pretty impressive group, right? Like, this could really be like a meeting of Overachievers Anonymous, could it not? Because there are some really like heavy hitters in the room, and I mean, let's face it, we are bright, we're educated, we're ambitious, dynamic. We are problem solvers. This is who we are. We have great ideas, and we know how to get things done. We are motivated, and we have the financial resources to make it happen. In fact, we even instill this in our children at a very young age, do we not? I mean, come on, you guys know what Bob the Builder says, right? Right? Anybody? Bob the Builder? Yes, can we build it? Yes, we can. Absolutely. In fact, the only thing that we really need to know is where to go, and what to do. When we know where to go and what to do, man, we are on it. We get her done, because that's who we are. We're Americans, right? But folks, what happens when our type A personality is not at all what God needs to accomplish his work? What happens when nothing that we know best works? Are we really asking the right question? I have come to learn that the where and the what questions are not at all what is important to God. As Jess pointed out a minute ago, it's really a different question. In Ray Stedman's book, God's Unfinished Book, he puts it this way: the most important question to God is how. That is what is important. That's what means the most. How? how will we do what he is asking us to do? Will we rely on our own abilities, resources, intellect, our own wisdom and know-how, or on his? One of the things that I have found out as I have asked myself this how question as a leader is that a death must occur in order to find the answer. In Luke 14, Jesus is teaching his followers the cost of discipleship. And what he says to them is, if anyone does not take up his cross and follow me, he cannot be my disciple. Of course, we understand that that the cross symbolizes death. And he asks us to carry it with us all the time, because at any given moment, we may need to put something about ourselves to death in order for his plans to unfold. Oh, by the way, he never really tells them, or us, when is a good time to put the cross down. Never. We must allow the cross to do its deadly work within us. As I took on the leadership role of the Senegal team, I found myself in a place of having to put many aspects of my type A personality to death. Some of the first to go were some really, really good ideas that I had. And along with that were my own ambitions. It seems funny, but it really wasn't. My ambitions had to go, my point of view. And of course, then there was like my natural ability to control things. And I have to tell you, folks, that none of that came easily or naturally to me by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, the slaughter is ongoing. And for those aspects of myself that I have had a hard time kind of nailing down, so to speak, God has allowed circumstances in my life to occur that have clipped my wings, and in order for other people to fly. As some of you may know, about over a year and a half ago now, just days after returning home from another trip to Senegal, where, of course, I had thwarted some of the most nasty infectious diseases in the world, I came home only to be bitten by a teensy little tick from my own backyard, and I contracted Lyme disease. Yeah. Very long story short, I did not receive the proper treatment initially, and the disease progressed to its current chronic and incurable stage. Now, for the moment, I'm able to manage the effects of that disease through a series of drug treatments, including a daily IV infusion. But unfortunately, it has left me unable to travel. Really. Talk about death. Now, before you start feeling too sorry for me, let me just tell you that my situation has been the best thing that could have ever happened to our team here and to our partners in Senegal. You see, the other leaders on my team, Robin Maurer and Teresa Kidd, they have had to step up in ways that they never thought that they ever would, or frankly, they didn't think that they could, okay? But they have, and they have done the most amazing job. And as for our partners in Senegal, we have seen them step up and take on leadership responsibilities that we have never seen them do before. They were always waiting for us to show up and lead them. Somebody once told me that the only way someone else takes responsibility is if someone gives it to them. Unfortunately, in my situation, God had to kind of like pry it out of my hands in order to pass it along, this thing we call leadership. But I have to say that, honestly, death of self is the only way that we can answer the how question. Jesus went on to tell his disciples that if they wanted to follow him, that if they really wanted to know what, or have real new life, The only way that they could obtain new life was when they were willing to lose theirs. And in that process, I have come to see God's faithfulness in that. I will confess to you that I am only at the beginning stages of really appreciating the death of all those parts of myself that needed to get out of God's way. But every day, He is showing me all the ways in which I can find rest in Him when I ask the right question. So thank you very much.